He has a defect in his eye. It's runny. It's gross. And I don't want to look at it. Get rid of him. Hey guys, welcome to Joel Reads Bible. I'm Joel, and I read Bible so that you don't have to. And we are rounding the finish line. Is that what they say? Rounding the finish line? Is that a phrase? Anyway, we are almost at the finish line. We have another 13 chapters. It's been a slog. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to put on a brave face. Why would I do that? I didn't write the Bible. I don't need to sit here and go, oh no, it wasn't that bad. It was bad, okay? It was horrible. It started really bloody and disgusting, and then it just went into all sorts of stupid laws, just really dumb laws, and bad medical advice. And so, hey, look, maybe we'll see an uptick at the last few chapters. We'll start having laws that are reasonable, practical. Maybe suddenly we'll get some really solid medical advice, and they'll be like, hey, by the way, the priests shouldn't take care of all the medical stuff. We're going to introduce doctors. Guys, I've read Bible enough that I genuinely do not have high hopes. I don't know if it's going to go up and down, ups and downs. I think it's just kind of a straight line of just complete nonsense, just exploding in your face. I was going to say diarrhea, but I don't do those types of jokes. I'm not rude like that. I'm actually a very wholesome, decent person. But anyway, we're here at Leviticus 21. If you guys want to be so kind to subscribe, like the video, and give me a comment, that would be great. With that being said, let's get right into it and see if the Bible doesn't improve. Leviticus 21. Yahweh said to Moses, "Speak to the priests, the sons of Aaron, and say to them, a priest shall not defile himself for the dead among his people, except for his relatives that are near him, for his mother, for his father, for his son, for his daughter, for his brother, and for his virgin sister who is near him, who has no husband. For her he may defile himself. He shall not defile himself, being a chief man among his people, to profane himself." The first thing I want to say is that this is one of those parts of Leviticus that is exclusive to the priests. There's a lot of things where Moses is saying to everyone or having the priests say to everyone, these are laws that everybody has to follow. But this one seems to be just for the priests. So if somebody were to say, oh, we don't have to follow this law anymore as Christians or whatever, this would be something that, this is not about you. This is about the specific priests. They're not to defile themselves for the dead among their people. This is you're allowed to touch these particular bodies. You're not allowed to touch any other dead bodies except for these people who are your relatives. Or maybe you're allowed to sleep with these people. Is that possible? Maybe it'll explain it later on in the chapter. We'll see what happens. But it's interesting also that a mother and a father and son and daughter, these are your close relatives. Why is virgin sister just sitting out there on her own? That she's a separate entity. These are all the close family. And then also virgin sisters. Just seems very weird to separate those. They shall not shave their heads or shave off the corners of their beards or make any cuttings in their flesh. They shall be holy to their God and not profane the name of their God, for they offer the offerings of Yahweh made by fire, the bread of their God, before they shall be holy. So this is God being very particular about haircuts again. He has mentioned this before, but I didn't know that this was just exclusively for priests. I thought that everybody had to get in on the hair thing. But anyway, God is very particular about hairstyles. I don't know if we've gotten into covering hair yet, but hair is obviously some sort of I wouldn't say mistake that God made, but it's something that he made grow crazy, and then he's like, can you contain that? Can you make sure it's just very specifically cut in different ways? All right, I could have made it just grow that way, but that's not the point. I need you guys to contain it. Just like foreskins. I gave you all foreskins, and that was a mistake. I don't want to say mistake, but it was, an oversight. I don't like them. So I need you to get rid of them. Hair is one of those things as well. They shall not marry a woman who is a prostitute or profane. I don't know what profane means. Don't marry a prostitute. Don't marry someone who swears. They can't marry someone who's a prostitute or someone that goes around going like, hey, I did a giant number 2 today. It was a massive stinker. Just somebody who's, that seems profane to me. As I say, I don't like those jokes. I don't do poop humor. I don't do that. A priest shall not marry a woman divorced from her husband, for he is holy to his God. Okay. And this is, by the way, this is the priests. Like most people can marry prostitutes or profane, women with sailors' tongues, right, as it were. But priests, no thank you, right? They are not allowed. Therefore, you shall sanctify him, for he offers the bread of your God. He shall be holy to you, for I, Yahweh, who sanctify you, am holy. The only reason why anybody is going to be holy is because Yahweh's holy. If you don't have Yahweh, if you don't have someone else being holy, you don't have to be holy. And the good news is, for those of us who don't have Yahweh or any God, we don't know what holy means. It's a word without a definition, I sometimes find, so we don't really have to worry about it. But if you do want to be holy, you can be, because he is holy. It's a hierarchical thing, I guess. The daughter of any priest, if she profanes herself by playing the prostitute, she profanes her father. She shall be burned with fire. This is, of course, what was definitely happening back in the Judah and Tamar story. Of course, this is a daughter of any priest. If a regular daughter does this, she doesn't necessarily have to be burned by fire. But in the story with Judah and Tamar, Judah was going to have Tamar burned with fire because she was playing the prostitute, which sounds very theatrical. It sounds fun. It sounds like somebody is on Broadway playing a prostitute, but it's obviously someone who is actually be prostituting themselves, which I don't know that means really selling yourself for money. I assume it is, but it might just be sleeping with someone out of wedlock. In any case, what we did see was that Tamar was going to be burned by fire, but she didn't have to be because she was pregnant with Judah's child. And this brings me to this observation that in one of our previous chapters here in Leviticus, you may remember that I commented, and it was in Leviticus chapter 10, Nadab and Abihu were burned by fire because of their strange fire. And then the other brothers got in trouble for something as well because they didn't do something correctly. I forget what it was. We got all the rules in the first 9 chapters or so. Then we had like a training video type thing. People could read it and go, oh, this is what happens if they don't get it right. Okay, all right. We needed an object lesson or something like that. I think that's what Genesis maybe was entirely or something like that. Or at least the story of Tamar and Judah was like, this is what happens when we don't follow the rules. We had a brother who was in competition with his dead brother that God killed for no particular reason, and so he pulled out, he disobeyed God, and also it was just like really complicated because you shouldn't be doing stuff like that as per the laws we read in these previous chapters, right? So now it's like, look, you want to profane yourself by playing the prostitute like Tamar did, right? She was almost burned alive. Guys, don't do that. So I think that those are kind of like the object lessons that were prior to this, just because maybe everything was written at the same time, or maybe this was written first, who knows? He who is the high priest among his brothers, upon whose head the anointing oil is poured, and who is consecrated to put on the garments, shall not let the hairs of his head hang loose, or tear his clothes. He must not go in to any dead body or defile himself for his father or his mother. He shall not go out of the sanctuary, nor profane the sanctuary of his God, for the crown of his anointing oil of his God is upon him. I am Yahweh. So I don't know what's happening here. If some of the priests can defile themselves with dead bodies and not the high priest, but it seems like defiling yourself with any dead body to maybe touch it or engage or be around a dead body. So maybe the high priest needs to be so sanctified or whatever, consecrated, that they literally can't even go near their mom and dad. Maybe who's writing this is the high priest. He's like, I hate dead bodies. Like, I know they're gross. I don't want to touch them. Like, honestly, actually, none of us should have to do that. But I don't even want to like go near my parents. None of the priests should have to do any of the dead body stuff with any of the other, which is weird because now like pastors and stuff like that are very involved in funerals and things like that. But maybe, closed casket. I honestly don't know what this means. So if that's what it means, a little weird. He shall take a wife in her virginity. He shall not marry a widow or one divorced or a woman who has been defiled or a prostitute. So being defiled, I guess that's just sleeping with someone out of wedlock. So being a prostitute is probably how we think of prostitution. All right, so we saw. See, the Bible does comment on it. Like, you can learn what the Bible is saying using just the Bible. The Protestants are right, guys. You can use the Bible to prove the Bible. Okay, it's right there in the text. He shall take a virgin of his own people as a wife. He shall not profane his offspring among his people, for I am Yahweh who sanctifies him. That's a great reason. Don't do it because me. I've said this before, but God is like a because I said so type of parent. He's like, he shall not profane his offspring among his people because of me, because I'm me. Because I'm me, guys. Don't do it. Yahweh spoke to Moses saying, I think this is the first time we've seen the preamble again in one chapter. This should be a separate chapter, especially because this chapter is too long. We're already at verse 16 and I'm exhausted. No, I'm just joking. We've read chapters that are like 60 verses. I've done my reps, you know what I mean? I'm basically I'm a weightlifter. I've worked out. I'm getting ready for Psalms, right? Like 100 and some odd verses per chapter. Bring it on. I can do that. No, I'm not going to split it up into 2 episodes. You're going to watch a 2-hour episode. Yahweh spoke to Moses saying, say to Aaron, none of your offspring throughout their generations who has a defect may approach to offer the bread of his God. For whatever man he is that has a defect shall not draw near a blind man or a lame, just a lame, or he who has a flat nose or any deformity, or a man who has an injured foot or an injured hand, or hunchbacked, or a dwarf, or one who has a defect in his eye, or an itching disease, or a scab, or who has damaged testicles. So this is just to the priests, just so we're clear. This isn't one of those nobody can come in and be part of this who has crushed testicles. It's only if of the priest class of Aaron's family. Does it make it better? I feel like this is God being like, look, I'll accept a hunchbacked. I don't mind a hunchbacked, but not for my main guys. Like, not if I have to see them every day. You know what I mean? If someone's going to be like in my eye line constantly and sprinkling blood on stuff that I like, if he's got damaged testes, I'm not interested, which sucks because like my grandpa had a flat nose. He had broken his nose a number of times and it was flat. It was flat and sort of like spread out. And God would not have preferred him. I get it. Like, he still will be allowed to be in heaven. He was a Christian. So he's probably in heaven if it exists. But he wouldn't have been allowed to be a priest, and God probably would have given him a nose job as soon as he got in the gates because he doesn't like this. And what sucks about it, if Aaron or Aaron's descendants, someone has a son, right? Only sons, of course. There's nothing about vaginas here because women, I don't even know why I mentioned women. They don't matter. But God allows a son to be born, and like basically while he's knitting him together in his mother's womb, we haven't gotten there yet, but you guys know that one. he like nicks the balls and crushes them a little bit, like damages them. Like it maybe even just like nicking them with the knitting needle a little bit, right? Some of the yarn gets pulled. So it's just like not right. Like his balls are off. You know what I mean? You know, the classic thing where you like pull that, oh, your balls are off. You know what I mean? This whole thing. He's like, I don't want him there. You did it. You are doing the knitting. God, you've just chosen that this particular guy doesn't get to be priest. And what's he going to do? This is why all of the, pastors' sons and priests always go into the minute. That's all they know. They're all Nepo babies, right? But imagine that. Imagine one comes out with like an injured hand or hunchbacked. Like, God, you're really screwing this kid over. No man of the offspring of Aaron the priest who has a defect shall come near to offer the offering of Yahweh made by fire, since he has a defect. He shall not come near to offer the bread of his God. He shall eat the bread of his God, both of the most holy and of the holy. He shall not come near the veil, nor come near the altar, because he has a defect, that he may not profane my sanctuaries, for I am Yahweh who sanctifies them. Yahweh's just like, I don't like it. You wrecked it. You cut the hair of the doll, and I don't like the look of it anymore. I don't want that in my sanctuary. He's not allowed in. He can eat the bread, but he's not allowed in. He has a defect in his eye. It's runny. It's gross, and I don't want to look at it. Get rid of him. What's he doing here? He says that to Aaron. What's he doing here? He has itching disease. He's itching. I hate watching a guy itch. No, give him some bread and tell him to stand over there. He's not allowed near the veil. I'm near the veil. He's not allowed near the fucking veil. So Moses spoke to Aaron and to his sons and to all the children of Israel. That was fun. That was a fun chapter. It's Yahweh being Yahweh. He's so particular. He's so particular about haircuts and testicles, apparently. It's interesting because he likes the balls. Like, he really does like them. The wiener part, he thinks there should be some improvements, right? He's picky about the wiener part. He didn't like what he did there. Fix it. Got to get that fixed. And then he's okay with it. But the balls, he's like, those are perfect. Those are like, nice. If they're deformed, not happy about it, right? But I generally like that. And look, you want to swear? You want to do some sort of a vow? Play with them a little bit. I don't know if you guys remember that a couple times. I think it happens a couple times in Genesis. Put the hand under the thigh. What's that? I thought it was checking to see if the guy was circumcised. But it might be, oh, man, I love your balls. They're perfect. They're perfectly round. Are you a priest? These are perfect balls. Anyway, that was Leviticus chapter 21. Hopefully we keep on this train of like really exciting. Okay, I am lying now. I am lying. I'm trying to make this seem more interesting than it is. But listen, still subscribe and like this video, comment on it, and we'll see you next time for Leviticus chapter 22. Bye. Hit record on the audio. Clap for myself. Makes me feel good about myself. That's what you want to do. You always have to clap for yourself so that you feel good about your life. She's like, hey, you want to shuck my... don't marry a girl like that. I can't keep that in. I cannot keep that in the episode. What's a good profane thing I can say that's not disgusting? Eat my shorts. Might as well. Can't marry someone who's a prostitute or who goes around going, eat my shorts. That's so cheesy. I don't think that I can't, that doesn't sound like me.